Coming up, there is a new leader in Northeast Indiana. You'll meet the newly hired CEO of the Northeast Indiana Regional Partnership and hear Stefan Frigia's ideas to build, market, and sell Northeast Indiana to the world. And Motor says it is on a mission to drive a greener energy future. Motor President Praveen Kaufpal explains how the company is breaking down barriers in the EV industry and bringing attention to Indiana in the process. Plus,
I'm Mary Rachel Redmond, standing on the court of a legend. And it can be yours for the night, along with his house and the entire property. More from French Lick coming up.
Details on those stories and much more ahead on this edition of Inside Indiana Business. Hello and welcome to Inside Indiana Business. I'm Gary Dick. Well, for 15 years, the Northeast Indiana Regional Partnership has been marketing the 11 counties in the region to increase business investment, jobs, and talent. More than 780,000 people call Northeast Indiana home, but the goal is to reach 1 million residents, and the public-private partnership has a new leader with that goal squarely in his sights. I'm pleased to welcome to the show new Northeast Indiana Regional Partnership President and CEO Stefan Frigia. Stefan, congratulations on the new role.
Thank you very much. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. You're coming to us today from Phoenix, Arizona, where for the past number of years, 10 years or so, you have had a leadership role at the Greater Phoenix Economic Council. Phoenix, of course, one of the fastest growing areas in the country, a lot of economic development success there. Stefan, can we assume that you're going to bring a bit of a playbook from Arizona when you arrive in Northeast Indiana?
Yeah, you bet, 100%. Over the last few years in GPAC, we have created a great system to and capabilities to work with companies from all over the world. So I'll bring all that experience and tools and know-how to really kind of reposition Northeast Indiana for new opportunities, both domestic and international. So I'm very excited about what we could do together with the local partners and the business community.
Hey, Stefan, what do you see as real opportunities in Northeast Indiana? Certainly Fort Wayne, one of the shining stars really in economic development and downtown activity in the state of Indiana. A lot of momentum there. You've got the orthopedic capital of the world not too far away in Warsaw. Talent is a big issue here. What do you see as real opportunities as you begin your new role?
I was very impressed about the work that has been done by my predecessor, John, and many others in the community about, what can the region provide and what companies already are there. So there's a strong automotive clusters. There's a strong, as I said, orthopedics and medical device, precision metals and fabrications. And when you think about the national trends on reshoring and kind of bringing back, productions and advanced capabilities and jobs in the U.S., I think Fort Wayne and the region of those 11 counties can play a fantastic role in really kind of be at the center of those conversations. I don't see anything particular that is lacking, in terms of opportunities and for Northeast Indiana, but it's about how you get into the right conversations with the right people at the right time. And this is something that here at GPAC over the last 10 years, have been cultivating, for many years, and we know how to, find out, who might be at the time making a decision or starting to make a decision about a new investment. Yeah. So the goal is to kind of bring back those playbook, those tactics, and then work with the partners on new jobs opportunities for people to come.
Yeah, Stefan, you mentioned your predecessor, John Sampson, who did a fabulous job in that role for a number of years. Part of that success John had was in pulling, I think, the region together, all counties working together. How important is that when you look at economic development, regional economic development, to make sure everybody's kind of rowing, in the same direction?
Regionalism is important. And I'm a firm believer that when a region is strong and working the same directions, they're going to be more successful, together. When companies come in, they don't have the time capability to deal with, different counties, different cities, different politics. They like to have a turnkey solution, single point of contact, and everything streamlined. So, John and others have done this already, kind of create the foundation for all that. My job is to continue to advance that and make sure that, the partnerships has the right tools so that we can actually be a value-added partner on those conversations.
Stefan Frigia, the new president and CEO of the Northeast Indiana Regional Partnership, coming to us from Phoenix this week. And Stefan, really a pleasure to meet you virtually. Look forward to seeing you when you arrive in Indiana.
Thank you for having me.
All right. Well, he came to Indiana University in the mid-'70s as one of the best high school athletes to ever come out of the state of Illinois, the top-rated high school athlete in the country then. And Quinn Buckner quickly adapted to life as a Hoosier. He's my guest on the next edition of the Business and Beyond podcast. Quinn Buckner was one of the stars on IU's undefeated 1976 national championship team, won an Olympic gold medal, moved on to the NBA, where he won a title in Boston with Larry Bird, ultimately returning to Indiana, where he's now vice president of communications for the Indiana Pacers, longtime color television commentator as well on Pacer broadcast. Recently took on a new role, high profile at his alma mater, chair of the Board of Trustees.
This is an opportunity for us to take the assets that we have at Indiana University and try to find a way to educate young people, to put them in position so they can get jobs, so we can do something about the economic development for the state of Indiana.
Really enjoyed my conversation with IU basketball legend Quinn Buckner. Had some candid thoughts as well on playing for Bob Knight. To check it out, just go to InsideIndianaBusiness.com beginning Monday and click on the subscribe tab. Well, in less than a decade, half of all cars sold in the U.S. could be powered by electricity. At least that's the government's goal. More on the shift toward electric vehicles and how Indianapolis-based AES Indiana and Motor want to drive that movement forward. It's time to go inside innovation, brought to you by ALLEGION, pioneering safety. Well, Motor bills itself as the only end-to-end electric vehicle adoption platform that works in partnership with utilities to educate customers and get them behind the wheel of EVs. Motor offers a monthly subscription for electric cars across the country and chose Indianapolis as the launch market. Motor President Praveen Kothpal is here now to explain the model and how it is bringing some more attention to innovation in Indiana. Praveen, thanks for joining us from Virginia.
Thanks for having me on the show, Gary.
Yeah, this is an innovative approach, and we'll get into your partnership with AES Indiana in a minute. Did something when you kind of launched the idea several months ago, but give us really the business model, if you will, for Motor. It's an app where folks can connect and get, electric vehicles, get vehicles in a very convenient way. Give us the bottom line on that.
Sure thing. And Motor is a company that aims to accelerate electric car adoption. And we're doing that by looking at barriers and knocking down those barriers to make driving electric more accessible for more customers. One of the problems that we saw right now is that it's too hard. And that's one of the reasons we launched our first service, Motor Drive, here in Indianapolis, which is a monthly electric car subscription service. We're one of the only companies offering a fully electric car subscription in the country. And there you can choose from a variety of models of cars. They all have over 200 miles of range. And you just download our app, sign up, we bring a car to your house, and we set you up with everything you need to charge. So that's the easiest way to get a car. And then what we're also doing is we're working with utility companies to bring this experience to more customers around the country.
Well, let's talk about that. You're partnering with AES Indiana in that regard. What does the partnership with utilities and working with utilities bring to the table when it comes to electric vehicle adoption?
So we're working with AES Indiana. That's the first utility nationally that we're partnering with, and utilities have a strong interest in bringing more innovative solutions to their customers. Of course, they want electricity demand to grow, but even more, this is a new sustainable offering that customers are interested in. And what Motor does is help equip utilities to bring a better experience for customers, because it's not just about learning about electric cars, getting a car. It's also about getting you set up with charging at home and making sure that you have the best deal on fuel from your utility.
Yeah, give us a quick idea so far of traction, consumer acceptance, how the reaction to this to the Motor model, if you will.
Yeah, our customers love it, largely because it's so easy. Mm-hmm. And mainly I'm talking about members of our Motor Drive subscription. And here's a great example. We have a customer in Broad Ripple, and they had been thinking about electric cars and hadn't quite decided to go all the way in. They heard about us in the paper, and they realized that going with Motor could make it super easy, where they could get the car, we'd bring it to their house, we'd get a charger installed in their home. And that's what's made it such a perfect fit for busy professionals, parents, empty nesters, and anyone who just wants an easy experience.
Yeah, as we wrap up, the reason for the launch, I know the partnership with the AES Indiana, but the launch in Indianapolis, this is a city with a long tradition of electric vehicles in terms of technology and innovation. So that piece makes Indianapolis, I guess, attractive as well.
Yeah, it's been a great market. People drive. There's a high reliance on cars, but there's also a history and a culture of automotive innovation. So that's made Indianapolis a perfect market to start with.
Praveen Kaufpal, the president of Motor, thanks for joining us. We look forward to continuing to following the story.
Thanks for having me. Take care, Gary.
All right. When we come back, a trip to Larry Bird country, where an idea between three old friends from French Lick has turned into destination dining, and a tribute to Larry legend. Rachel Redmond with the story in this week's Around Indiana. And the Indianapolis Business Journal is hosting a power panel discussion on the latest trends in healthcare and benefits. The panel of executives will offer insights and a forecast for what's ahead next Friday, September 24, at the Indianapolis Marriott downtown. The program, 8:30 a.m. It starts. RSVP by the 20th at ibj.com. It's hard to believe it's been 42 years since Larry Bird led the undefeated Indiana State Sycamores to the NCAA championship game to face Magic Johnson in Michigan State. Now, he became one of the greatest players of all time with the Boston Celtics. Larry legend's on-court success still fuels small business in his tiny hometown of French Lick. Around Indiana reporter Mary Rachel Redmond has more.
French Lick is known best for one name.
I travel extensively for work, and when I'm talking about the French Lick Resort or this destination, I always get, oh, home to Larry Bird. So that immediately lets people know where we're at and what our trademark kind of is.
Even though it's been almost 50 years since Bird graduated from Springs Valley High School, the hick from French Lick is still a major player in generating dollars for small business in his hometown.
He has allowed a different kind of tourism. At 33 Brick Street, you can actually get hands-on with a lot of his memorabilia.
33 Brick Street is the brainchild of Tracy Tucker and Danny Weichert, both born and raised in French Lick.
Danny's dad was actually the superintendent of the school here, so that's how they all know Larry.
Yes, that Larry.
They wanted to do something for the area, you know, fun related, sports theme, you know, the area had nothing like this. They approached Larry with some plans and said, you know, they were just looking for something unique to put in here, just one or two items. Well, when they got to Larry's, it wasn't displayed, it was in a barn. You know, he was like, take all of this.
The essence of greatness is literally still on this jacket. Larry Bird's original 92 Dream Team warm-up.
His shoes and jacket and everything was still in the duffel bag from the Olympics when it was brought here. Had never been removed.
He called himself the Hick from French Lick, and here in French Lick at 33 Brick Street, you can literally touch history. This is Larry Bird's MVP trophy from the 85-86 season.
This is all his college and NBA tourney championship trophies, all originals.
Just as authentic as the memorabilia is 33 Brick Street's food.
We specialize in tenderloins, our homemade Indiana pork tenderloin, of course, that we hand bread here in-house. Our steaks and burgers are all 100% certified Angus beef. Our fish and chips is a very good hand-breaded fish that is really popular throughout the area. A lot of nice items on our menu.
And if you still don't have your Larry fix after a stop at 33 Brick Street, why not spend the night at the 12-time All-Star's first house he built after entering the NBA? The Legend of French Lick Resort is like an 80s time capsule filled with most of Bird's original appliances and even furniture. You can rent the entire 20-acre property that includes
an outdoor pool, there's basketball court, tennis courts. It's a huge house, there's a lot of space. We have 6 large suites. Every one of them have their own personal bathroom. One of them even has their own kitchen.
The owner's suite, Larry Bird's former master bedroom, and maybe just as intriguing, the celebrity suite, rumored to be built just for Magic Johnson when he was in town. And some may argue this is the court that changed the face of the NBA when Larry Bird and Magic Johnson cemented their lifelong bond, shooting a Converse commercial in the 80s.
Well, they made a pair of Magic shoes for this year's MVP. Okay, Magic, show me what you got.
It's also famous for this clip.
I don't know, son. I don't think you're ever going to make it.
Can't run, can't jump, bad back, pathetic.
People come from all over. We've had people from Australia come just to try on the jacket. You know, I think we do get a lot of business for Larry Bird, yes.
Bird wins it at the buzzer.
Mary Rachel Redmond, Inside Indiana Business.
Up next, we'll tell you what's fueling big growth at Bloomington's Oliver Winery. Oliver Winery and Vineyards is on a roll. Wine Business Monthly now ranks Oliver as the 29th largest winery in the United States. Since 2014, Oliver has more than doubled its geographic reach, now distributing in 41 states. And I'm pleased to welcome to the show CEO Julie Adams. Welcome her back to talk about the strategy behind expanded production capacity and what's next. Julie, thanks for joining us.
Thank you for having me. It's my pleasure to be here.
Yeah, you know, I think so many people in Indiana certainly have heard of Oliver and the story of Bill Oliver, the IU professor, law professor, homemade winemaker, started the company, started the winery in 1972. A lot has changed. You're really on a growth trajectory.
Right, yes. We have been really proud to double in size in the last 2.5 years. So we have grown a long way since 1972 and our starting.
Yeah, we were talking off camera a moment ago. The real kind of turning point, if you will, was a couple of years ago and the introduction of cherry and blueberry Moscato. So that those products really accelerated growth. Talk about that.
Yeah, they sure have. We released them as a small batch experimental wine in our tasting room about 5 years ago. And lots of times we'll use the tasting room as a place where we can try things out and see how the customers respond. And immediately they were just a very big hit. They kind of unseated the big sellers in the tasting room right away. And they are wines that we use. They're Moscato wines, and we use fruit juice and extracts with cherry and blueberry to flavor them. And they just have a lot of different aspects to them that customers have really responded to. They've got some effervescence. They are lower alcohol beverages, which is important and something that folks are responding to today. And they just have a crisp, refreshing taste that people have just loved.
Yeah, a lot of folks may not know that has really expanded your geographic reach, your footprint in a big way. So when those products were introduced, you were maybe in about 14 states. That's grown exponentially.
Right, yes. And today we're in 41 states. And we really were able to take those wines and work with some of our retailer partners that we were selling with in the Midwest and expand the placements that we have with them to lots of states across the U.S. today.
Interesting piece of the business, too. I know earlier this year it was announced that a New York investment firm had taken a majority stake in Oliver. And in the market now, again, as we were talking before the interview, very much a consolidated industry. So having that player involved with Oliver, I know you view has been a real positive.
It sure has, yes. So we closed on that investment in March, and it's with a group called Next Phase Capital, and they've brought investment advisors that have worked in the alcoholic beverage industry just at the highest levels to our business, to the table. Some of the members of the advisory team that we have on board at this point have worked at the highest levels at Anheuser-Busch, at Bacardi, at Moet Hennessy. And in an industry like ours, where the top 6 wineries in the U.S. sell over 50% of the wine on grocery store shelves, those are their brands. We just have a really fierce competitive place in which we're selling our wine today. And having people that are resources for us, that know how those larger players operate, how they scale manufacturing, how they work from a sales and marketing standpoint, has been really important for us as we seek to keep growing the winery here in Indiana.
Yeah, you've doubled production in recent years, added jobs as well. That trajectory looks to continue. Julie Adams, the CEO at Oliver Winery. Julie, thanks for joining us. We look forward to seeing you soon.
Absolutely. Thank you very much for having me today.
All right. Ahead on our next half hour, why 4,000 people are coming together to meditate in the heart of Indianapolis. More on monumental yoga in the business of health. Also, how the pandemic has changed the way educators are looking at classroom learning space and what role Indianapolis-based Business Furniture is playing in that evolution. Well, Monument Circle in downtown Indianapolis is transformed this weekend into a massive outdoor yoga studio. After being virtual in 2020, the annual Monumental Yoga event returns in person this year with thousands of participants. Business of Health reporter Kylie Valletta has more. Kylie.
Thank you very much, Gary. 3,000 to 4,000 yogis are expected to be part of the largest yoga class in Indiana at 5 o'clock Sunday evening. Beyond celebrating the love of yoga, the afternoon will raise funds for Indie Yoga Movement, an Indianapolis nonprofit that brings the benefits of yoga to students, mostly in Marion County. Indie Yoga Movement co-founder and president Susie Bindley joins me now to tell us more about the event and how it ultimately benefits young people in Indianapolis. Hi, Susie. Welcome to the show.
Oh, hi, Kylie. Thank you so much for having us. I really appreciate it.
It's a great story, great event coming up. So we'll talk about your nonprofit in just a minute, but first, give us a quick overview of the event. What can we expect this year? It's back in person, so that's the good news. Just tell us a little bit about it.
Well, Monumental Yoga, this will be our 9th year. And what we do is from 2 to 8 p.m., we've got the entire circle. We've got 40 different vendors that make artesian products, all kinds of homemade items. We've got 9 food trucks coming as well. And we'll hold mini classes for kids and people prior to the community class, which starts at 5. And we timed it so that people that attend the Colts game can just throw their yoga mat in the car and then come and join us. So we're looking forward to a large crowd, another beautiful day like we have today. So couldn't be happier about it.
Yes, Scott, good luck with the weather for sure. So talk a little bit about Indie Yoga Movement. This event benefits your nonprofit. Tell us just a little bit about the mission of Indie Yoga Movement.
Well, Indie Yoga Movement, our goal is to empower youth by teaching them life skills. When we go in and teach a yoga class, we give a story, and we always base the story upon some type of theme that is a good virtue that we'd like children to have, or a coping mechanism for the students to have. We're K through 12. We're all over central Indiana and largely in Marion County, as you touched on a minute ago. So we're seeing great progress with all of our programs. We formed a not-for-profit in 2014, but we actually started teaching in 2012. So we've taught over 30,000 students in these years, over 4,400 classes. So we're really thrilled at the impact we've been able to generate.
And so your whole model is based on going into schools and doing yoga classes at the school. And, you know, gosh, I think about COVID and everything that kids have been through with virtual school, hybrid, in school, out of school, masks, no masks, and just policies changing every day. They've been through so much. Do you feel like, I mean, now is more important than ever to help these kids kind of decompress and just the benefits of yoga right now?
Absolutely, and we're really trying to emphasize, we're teaching the kids how to breathe and how to get a chance to really evaluate their thoughts and giving them tools to calm themselves down. And we're really, the kids are so appreciative of our coming, and they're telling us that, oh, we're doing this at other times we're not in class. So we're trying to impart with them some skills that they'll be able to take with them other places. And especially this time of the pandemic, we're now in a place, also touching back on Monumental, we'll have only 40 vendors in the entire circle, so we've got much more space than we've ever had. But back to the students, they are really just seeking us out, and they are appreciative because they're just a good group of kids that we've got here in Indiana. So we're really fortunate and pleased to be able to be with all these nice kids.
And only a few seconds left, Susie, but from kids to grown-ups alike, I heard you say somewhere else that ultimately you just want to make Indiana a kinder, more inclusive place. And gosh, isn't that what we need right now? Can you talk just a little bit about that?
Oh, absolutely. We're trying to teach the kids, and we share stories about how it makes a difference. Find that student that's sitting there by themselves. Make sure that you've got the guts and the bravery to sit there and change the narrative when someone is being bullied or when someone is experiencing a hard time. You be the brave one that is going forward and including these people with you. And just extend some generosity, extend kindness and fairness. And it really helps students. We don't know what battles they're going through. So they're really receptive and just wanting us to be back as often as we can.
All right, well, Susie, I'm happy to say that you're getting to have your event in person again, so good luck this weekend, and I just hope it's fantastic.
Oh, thank you, Kylie. We appreciate it. We're looking forward to it.
Gary, back to you.
All right, Kylie, thank you. Well, the pandemic has changed how educators and school districts view classroom learning spaces. Among the challenges, how to make sure students are socially distanced and still engaged in both in-person and distance learning. It is the new normal in education, and Indianapolis-based Business Furniture and Corio are working directly with Indiana school districts to address that challenge. And for more, I'm pleased to be joined by Director of K through 12 Education, Danon Tolman. And Danon, welcome to the program.
Thank you very much for having me, Gary.
You're coming to us from your space in downtown Fishers, really interesting, functional, and neat space in downtown Fishers. I've always been fascinated by companies like yours, Business Furniture and Corio, and that focus on research and technology and innovation in designing these spaces. I assume has a lot to do with how you've kind of reinvented education and learning space.
That's 100% accurate. I mean, we believe space shapes behavior, and behavior shapes culture, and culture drives success. And that's as true in education as it is in workplace.
Yeah, looking at the challenge here, and I mentioned it in the introduction there, but this challenge of keeping students engaged, whether it's in-person learning or many times the virtual learning, that's the big challenge in this whole process. Talk about how you went about or are going about working with school districts to create space that can make that happen.
Yeah, there's a lot of components to that. So there's a thing called roomies and zoomies, being able to have in-person and a remote learning at the same time. And there's a lot of research that we're doing that Steelcase has got going on. In fact, we have a presentation on the 28th that's going to be about that. But we're helping schools. Technology is a good component of getting people into that space. and in person. We're helping them try to be better at being able to interact with each other as they are remotely.
Yeah. We'll talk about specifically some of the features, some of the changes you've implemented and are implementing in classrooms throughout Indiana.
Yeah, it's hard. So we're trying to be more engaging, but at the same time, we have to react to the pandemic. And part of that is to create a safe environment. So social distancing is a key component, right, of having a safe environment. So desks that can reconfigure, that can spread out to provide that 3 to 6 foot spatial distancing. So that's one of it. Desks with casters, so the room can reconfigure. There's other things too on that safety level that we're helping with too, by the way. Simple things like totes that have antimicrobial components in them, so that within 24 hours, 99.9% of the microbes are killed.
That's amazing technology. And what's it done in terms of school systems and districts around the state? They've got to change their thinking too. This is a new ballgame, kind of, as they say, the new normal. So school systems need to kind of adjust in that way too.
Yeah, for sure. And it's hard because it puts pressure on teachers, quite frankly, quite a bit. So we need to be thinking about teacher spaces. We need to think about supporting them, giving them space to be able, the tools to be able to teach remotely, to be able to teach in person, and that flexibility to do both. And I guess flexibility is a big word right now, or even more importantly, agility, because things have happened so fast, so rapidly, that you need to be able to change as a mask mandate happens, or as whatever the next mandate comes. You need to be able to have those adjustments. Yeah.
So as we wrap up, really, this is going to be an ongoing thing in terms of classroom design. And as we were talking off camera before the interview, as you said, ultimately, kind of the safety is the overriding issue as you look at these new designs and new spaces.
Yes, absolutely. Safety is a huge component of it, as well as just building that well-being for the student and for the teacher. It's definitely going to be an ongoing process, and we have a lot of partners that will help kind of create the best plan of action for each district.
Dana Tolman is Director of K-12 Education, Business Furniture, and Choreo. Dana, thanks for some interesting perspective on the changing face of the classroom. Really appreciate it.
Absolutely, Gary. Thank you very much for having me.
All right. Well, he lost his vision as a teenager, but that didn't stop Indiana State University sprinter Noah Malone from achieving Olympic glory. Meet this Hoosier triple medalist from the Paralympic Games in Tokyo when we come back. And the Indianapolis Business Journal is hosting a power panel discussion on the latest trends in healthcare and benefits. It's a panel of executives who will offer insights and, importantly, a forecast for what's ahead. That's on Friday, September 24th, the Indianapolis Marriott downtown. RSVP by September 20 at ibj.com. Well, the Tokyo Olympics and Paralympics are over, but at least one story of inspiration put forth by an Indiana athlete should last a lifetime. Bill Benner has more in this week's Inside Indiana Sports. Bill.
Gary, thank you. As he was a state champion caliber sprinter at Hamilton Southeastern School in Fishers in 2015 when his vision began to deteriorate in a rapid and significant manner. But Noah Malone never lost sight of his goals. Not only did he eventually win an ISSA state championship in 2019, but this past month, he returned from the Paralympics in Tokyo with a gold and 2 silver medals, and he's currently enrolled and competing at Indiana State University. And it's my honor to welcome Noah to the program. And welcome, sir. How you doing?
I'm doing good. Thank you so much for having me.
Well, and it's great to have you. We'll talk about your condition here in a moment. I just wanted to get your general feelings about the Tokyo experience with the Paralympics and the success you had. You would have won. It took 2 world records to beat you in the 100 and 400 meters, and then you got the gold medal on the relay team. But what a fantastic experience. Talk about that if you would, Noah.
Fantastic, yeah, to say the least. I really cannot even put that experience into words. That was my 4th international trip, and the past 3 honestly don't even compare to Tokyo. I was over there for about 27 days. We were at an Air Force base for the first 10, and then we transitioned into the village. And every single day was something special. Like competing in that big even with no fans, it was still amazing. Like competing in that big stadium, I had 6 total races. So, I was able to race 6 different times at that stadium, and it was special every single time. I cannot compare to any school meet, any type of meet I've ever been into. So it was great. The culture there was great too. So can't complain at all.
Well, this all began in your early teens when you were in school, and you suddenly had trouble focusing on what was being written on the chalkboard. And further tests discovered that you had a condition called Leber's hereditary optic neuropathy. And the result was you have a 2400 vision in your left eye, 2600 in your right eye. But nonetheless, you continue to use track and competing as your inspiration. And as I mentioned, you won that IHSA 200-meter race in 2019. But what an unbelievable story and path that you've followed to this point.
Thank you. It definitely has been a journey. All 6 years, because I lost my vision in 2015, like you said. So almost 6 years to the month. It would have been August of 2015. So it's been a long process, getting introduced to para sports, down the line, going to the blind school and HSC at the same time, being dual enrolled. So there's been different experiences, different lessons I've learned. But, it all has come to create, the person I am today. So I'm thankful for every single step I've been able to take.
Well, Noah, and you've written a book about your experience losing vision, not dreams. It's really an outstanding read, and I would suggest that any youngster facing challenges would benefit by reading this. What was the motivation behind that?
Honestly, the motivation behind that was just to give hope to people who are going through something at such a young age. That was really what I was aiming at, because when I was 13, I probably would have loved to have a book or anything to just to see that somebody else is going through the same thing as me. And that would definitely give me more hope. So the goal with this and the purpose behind this was just to put a message behind the book and a message out there in general to anybody, not even just youngsters, but if you're going through something, just find something to motivate you. And honestly, it would make the hard situation better. That's what happened to me. So that was really the main purpose behind the book.
No, we got less than a minute to wrap up. What's ahead? You're competing for Indiana State University, maybe the only or one of the very few legally blind runners competing in NCAA Division I. And I know you're looking ahead to further Paralympics competitions, most notably Paris in 2024. Talk about what's next.
Yeah, as of now, I'm just catching up on all the schoolwork I've kind of been behind on. But like you said, just competing for ISU in this next upcoming school season. That'll lead me into World Championships next year in Kobe, Japan, August of next year. So right now, I'm just kind of settling into the campus and going to class like a normal student. And then in a few months, I'll go back to training and just get underway with the school season. So that's about it. Just taking every day by day, pretty much.
Well, Noah, again, thanks for coming on the program. A wonderful story of inspiration, and we wish you nothing but the best in what's to come in the months, the years ahead. Noah Malone, thanks for being with us.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
All right, and Gary, back to you.
All right, great story. Thanks, Bill. Well, my guest on the Business and Beyond podcast this week was also an incredible athlete. Quinn Buckner grew up in Illinois, about 10 miles west of Hammond, just across the state line. He led the IU Hoosiers to an undefeated season and a national championship in 1976, won an Olympic gold medal that same year, and an NBA championship with the Boston Celtics and Larry Bird in 1984. Now an executive and broadcaster with the Indiana Pacers, Buckner reflects on the story behind Bob Knight's long-awaited return to Assembly Hall in 2020 and what it was like playing for him.
a chasm was there. There's no question about it. And the way it was there, as I shared here recently, was you had IU players who were reluctant to wear merchandise from IU for fear of offending Coach Knight. Yeah, exactly. Wow. That night, that dissipated. That went away. We had the crew there. So it was, there are a lot of reunions, but, like the band was back together, if you will. As we all know, Coach Knight has his ways of doing things. It was because it was the players. We worked very hard, and they're tremendous supporters for IU basketball. And when they called and asked to be a part of it, we respectfully shared with them that this would probably, for the sake of all of IU, would be better served if it was just players involved. And Coach would not have wanted, he would not have done it if it had been any other way. So we fought pretty hard by that. He didn't care if you understood him or not. He really didn't, which is interesting. Because he also had a side that that was could be sensitive. So it's just but that was the man. What he did, and I think most of our teammates or anybody that's been around you understand, the mission was clear. He covered every detail, and in that is the preparation. His favorite statement is everybody wants to succeed, but very few people are willing to prepare for that success. He made us smarter. He made us tougher. And his personality galvanized us, because at times you were so ticked off at him, you only had your brothers in arms to figure out, we've got to do this. We don't give about what he's thinking at this point. So, and there was a brilliance in that. He used basketball as a metaphor for life. I recall there was a game, I don't know who we were playing against, and we're out there scrambling around doing what we need to do in this close game, and he tells, timeout, he says, they're going to set a screen over here, this blah, blah, blah is going to shoot it. Okay. And the screen is set, and I can't get through it. And so they knock down the shot, timeout, come back, and they're going to run the play again. He said, but before he says, I said, they're going to set a screen. He said, they're going to get the shot here. I said, Coach, he set a screen. He said, if somebody puts a roadblock in front of you, are you going to stand there or figure out a way to get around it? And it was a life lesson in the game in that moment.
Much more with IU basketball legend and Indiana Pacers executive Quinn Buckner. Great conversation on the next Business and Beyond podcast beginning Monday. To check it out, just go to InsideIndianaBusiness.com and click on the subscribe tab. 1998, the year Peyton Manning arrived in Indianapolis. This song by Sean Mullins hit #1 on the charts. Mullins, one of a host of entertainers back on stage now, raising money for local nonprofits through Concerts for a Cause. Details when we come back.
Pretty words can mean a lot, be everything, but when they're not, sometimes you need just a little bit more, yeah. They're creeping in.
That's pop pianist and singer Gabe Dixon, one of many entertainers back on stage to perform at Concerts for a Cause. Well, the pandemic silenced Concerts for a Cause for nearly a year and a half, but the series is back. Proceeds from those concerts go to help Central Indiana kids and families in need. Over the past 5 years, almost $300,000 has gone to 17 local nonprofits. For more on Concerts for a Cause, I'm pleased to be joined by co-founder Bruce Kidd. Bruce, always great to see you.
Thank you, Gary. It's a pleasure to see you too, my friend.
Yeah, we're going to talk about Concerts for a Cause in terms of getting back on stage, if you will, but go back 5 years or so and the idea behind Concerts for a Cause and how it all got started.
Yeah, the idea was we did a pilot concert in August of 2015 for a not-for-profit. I was the chairman of the board. As kind of a thank you to all of our supporters. And after the concert, I was leaving, and one of the guests came up to me and said, you know, I think you've got a concept that could help other not-for-profits. It's unique and it's engaging, and you can raise money, and there are lots of not-for-profits that need help. Would you consider doing that? And I said, well, yes, I love music and I loved the thought of giving back to the community, but I'd need some help. And he said, I'm in. And that gentleman was Steve Neely, who was the president of Cisco Foods here in Indianapolis. And so we launched it in January of 2016, not knowing what would happen and if anybody would show up. I knew I could get the artists to come and play. I've gotten a network of artists I've known over the years, but we didn't know if the concept would work. And in the first year, we had, 100, 125 people show up. And then each year, it continued to grow, and our support grew from local corporate sponsors, which was really important. And the last concert we did before the pandemic hit was January of 2020, and we had over 400 people there. And wow. It was a great event. And so then, like all other event organizations, we had to take a pause, as you said.
Yeah.
But it's grown a lot. We've been very, very appreciative of all the support. And as you said, we've donated almost $300,000 to some really worthy small local not-for-profits.
Yeah, so you're back now, and obviously those nonprofits who, like everyone else has suffered through the pandemic. Now that you're back on stage, talk about kind of maybe some pin-up interest, pin-up demand for some of this entertainment, because you're really getting some great local talent on stage as well.
Yeah, well, yeah, we are. And all those artists, the local artists that we showcase at each event, plus the national artists like Gabe Dixon, who you just entered the segment with, are really talented artists, but they've been off for a year too, and they're really excited to get out and play. And then there are a lot of people like you and I that are big music fans that didn't get to do anything for over a year. And so it's been nice to give people an opportunity to come back and see some really talented people in a live music venue. We go to different venues each time. They're always fun. And then also give back to the community. You know, your ticket, we donate all the money from ticket revenue to a different not-for-profit at each concert. So you can feel good about the entertainment value, but you also feel good about helping others in need.
Yeah. Hey, Bruce, before we go, only have about 30 seconds left. Want to touch on the listening room. You know, you are a philanthropic, a giving person. Here's another example, trying to give back, trying to help out artists who've really struggled, you know, certainly during the pandemic. Tell me about the listening room, which is a partnership between you and another tech entrepreneur in Mike Simmons.
Yeah, Mike and I are big music fans, and he's very philanthropic as well. And he's got a beautiful facility on East Washington called the Silo Auto Club. Inside that building is a room that's perfect for small concerts of 50, 60, 70 people. And we called it the listening room. And our objective is to showcase 3 different local artists each month in a songwriters round where they each play music for the audience, hour and a half, and ticket price is $29, and you get food as well, and it's just a great experience. Plus, it gives all these local artists a chance to get out and perform again, which they're really, really wanting to do. So it's been great. We've been doing them since June. We've got another one coming up this month on the 23rd, and we're going to do them the rest of the year.
Very good, Bruce. Hey, congratulations on this. Really a great, worthwhile cause. Concerts for a Cause. Back on stage, and good luck going forward. Hope to see you soon.
Yeah. Thanks, my friend.
All right. Well, Brookville and Kendallville have been chosen as pilot communities for the Preserving Main Street program, grant program. Lieutenant Governor Suzanne Crouch and the Indiana Office of Community and Rural Affairs say each community will receive $2 million to revitalize historic buildings in their downtown districts. The program is a joint venture, a joint effort between Okra, Indiana Humanities, and Indiana Landmarks. Experience the Heart of Kendallville says grant funds will be used to revitalize buildings, make facade improvements, and also develop a historic and cultural trail. Other Preserving Main Street finalists, Attica, Jasper, and Cambridge City, will receive customized training and planning help from Okra and Main Street America. And I'll be right back after this. Stay with us. Next week, the global spotlight on Indiana again for motorsports innovation. I'm Gary Dick. Thanks for joining us. Go out and make it a successful week.
Inside Indiana Business with Gary Dick is a production of Grow Indiana Media Ventures with support from WFYI Productions.